everyone, and welcome back to the Marketer of the Day podcast. We are here with Aleric Heck, or Aleric Heck. You'll have to tell me in a moment which pronunciation is the correct one, from AdOutreach.com. And we are going to be talking about YouTube ads, ad outreach, ClickFunnels, high ticket sales, improving our business, Facebook ads, whatever comes up. And this whole thing with advertising and paid ads especially, it's one of those things where it's like we always have to stay up to date with the latest comings and goings. They always change the rules. It seems like if you take your eye off the ball, then it might become one of those things in your business that you tried once and then gave up on, and then you always have that weird nagging feeling of like you couldn't make it work before and maybe you can again. But this way we can save all that frustration, and we're going to be talking about YouTube ads. So how are things today?
Absolutely. They are going great. You actually got it right the first time, which a lot of people get the name incorrect. It is Aleric, so that's awesome. And I'm excited. I'm excited to hop on here and dive into everything. YouTube ads is what I love. And I know we were talking a little bit earlier. I think you've seen a few of my ads. You pointed to my whiteboard back here. So I'm excited to dive in. I think this is going to be great and just share as much knowledge as I can.
All right. Well, I'm excited too. And I know that, as you know, like sometimes people know nothing about ads, especially YouTube ads, and some people know more things. And all I know is that like we can target like a search, like a YouTube search and fun stuff like that. We can sometimes like target a specific person's channel or specific videos. And it lends well to podcasting and like the interviews we're doing right now, because like we're recording this on video with both of us on a chat, and I could potentially target one of your videos. So say someone is about to click on something of yours and it shows the pre-roll ad and you're on the video that I'm advertising. So it's like, it's more of like an easy, a smooth transition. But other than that, I don't know that much about YouTube ads other than a lot of people try it, a lot of people fail. So what the heck do we need to know jumping in just off the bat about YouTube ads?
Absolutely. So here's the thing. I actually want to give all of the viewers, listeners, the formula to really succeed with YouTube ads. I've seen the same thing where it is a totally different platform than Facebook. And so when people, a lot of people in our space who are in ClickFunnels, maybe they're a coach, consultant, course creator, expert, online business owner, they tend to treat YouTube like Facebook, but it's a totally different platform. And it has some major advantages that you need to take advantage of. So I want to dive into and just give you a little bit of a teaser of what I'm happy to dive into, and then I'm happy to answer any questions, go down any rabbit hole that we want to. But I would love to talk about the three components of a winning YouTube ad. That's one of the biggest questions I get, like how can you craft an ad that's actually going to convert, get people to not only pay attention, but to take action. And then from there, we'll talk about how to target the right people. And that's using our 3D YouTube ads targeting strategies. And these are the same strategies that we use, that our clients use. We've helped hundreds of clients set this up. And it's kind of funny, you said that you've seen some of my ads, but you've probably also seen a lot of our clients' ads as well. You've seen different, coaches, consultants, people on YouTube. With the clients we've worked with, there's a fair chance there's a lot of them. And so I'm excited just to share some of the secrets, the knowledge that we have. And if you want, we could start with the video, and then we could go into the targeting.
Yeah, let's do it. So you said there are these three components of a YouTube ad, and I think this can be really helpful because it's like sometimes we all see an ad and there's like a million things happening that maybe some things we notice consciously or subconsciously, and it helps for us to, like, from this point on, when people see your ads or one of your clients' ads, then they'll be like, oh, these three things, I'm seeing them all in place. So you've got my curiosity going. What the heck are these three components of a YouTube ad?
Exactly. So the big three components that we have, and I'm going to break down each of these in a second, is the hook, right? And so that's capturing the right people, pulling them in. But we're also going to talk about how it's also important to repel the wrong people away, and we'll get into that. Then educate. This is where you're actually providing value. You're giving people something. You're showing yourself as the expert. Your product is the solution they need, or your service is the solution they need, or just your expertise. If you're, coach, consultant, course creator, then that's really what you're selling, is your own expertise at the subject that you're at. And then from there, having that education portion then seamlessly transition into a call to action where they're going to be able to get even more value, whether that's a webinar, a free download, some kind of lead magnet joining your list, or even booking a call or purchasing something right off the back of the video. Whatever that next step is, you want to frame it as, listen, you've captured their attention, you've given some value, and then you get them to take action. The biggest thing that people get wrong, and the biggest thing that people leave out is they leave out that education section, right? A lot of people, how many ads have you seen? Now, and if you're thinking about ads that follow this format, a lot of that, we have a lot of different clients that are following this format now. And so more and more, but, back years ago, right, on YouTube and even these days, people who aren't necessarily following this structure, how many ads have you seen that they're like, they have a hook, so they say, hey, do you have this problem? Okay, go sign up for my webinar. But that doesn't really work that well because you're not actually providing any value, anything tangible that shows you as the expert that's going to pique their interest. They're like, okay, maybe they go to the site, maybe they even sign up, but are they really that likely to show up to that webinar, or are they really likely to consume that content or read all of your emails? But if you provide some value, I call it golden nuggets, that's what's going to get people to actually pay attention. So let's break down these individual components. We start off with the hook. We want to capture the right people, but push away the wrong people. What do I mean by that? Well, on YouTube, you only pay, and you may know this, but I'm sure a lot of listeners and viewers don't know this. On YouTube, you only pay if somebody watches 30 seconds or more of your ad. So if somebody watches between 5 and 29 seconds, because there's a countdown for from 5 seconds, between 5 and 29 seconds, and they skip the ad, you actually don't pay for it. You only pay if they watch more than 30 seconds. And so imagine if you can pull in the right people, but then get the wrong people to skip. And there's a few different ways you can do this. If you want, I can give you a couple examples that I use from some of my ads and just kind of share what that looks like. So one of them, one of the ads that we have is, what if you could ethically hijack your competitor's traffic and send it directly into your own funnel? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how that works using YouTube video ads. Let's hop over to my computer screen. And then, then I go to my computer screen, I do the demo, the educate. But if you notice there, when I'm capturing people's attention, I'm not just calling out who I want to watch the video. I'm also using jargon to essentially push the wrong people away. If you don't know what a funnel is, if you don't know, hijacking competitors' traffic, if you're like, wait, what does that even mean? Like traffic, on the interstate, or people don't know that that's online traffic. If they don't understand these different words that I'm using, then they're going to skip the ad. But the people that do understand, the target market that I'm going for here, because a lot of our clients are those people who have their own online businesses. They are familiar with ClickFunnels. Maybe they've set stuff up on their own, but they want to start running their marketing. The people that I'm going to attract, they're going to say, hey, he's speaking my language. I'm going to watch this and actually see what I have to say. You can use other examples too. So a more recent ad that we have is, we say YouTube ads beat Facebook ads every time. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly why that's the case and how you can run YouTube ads to, Notice that I'm starting with a strong stance, right? Kind of breaks people out of their mold. If you have just been running Facebook ads this whole time and you all of a sudden hear somebody saying, YouTube ads beat Facebook ads and I'm going to prove it, it really, gets them to pay attention and gets them to watch that video. So you want to have that hook. It's compelling, pulls in the right people, but pushes away the wrong people, because you only want to pay for the people that are interested, the people beyond 30 seconds. Then from there, you're providing value, you're educating, you're actually giving content. This is the biggest misconception that people have, is a lot of people just do 30-second or 60-second ads. I recommend doing between a 2 or even 3 to 5 minute long ad that actually provides value of some kind. So maybe talk about the 3 biggest keys that are going to help your clients. Maybe talk about the 3 biggest things that your product or service or program or whatever it is solves, and what some of the common misconceptions are. Kind of like what I'm doing right now. If I talk about, okay, here's the 3 components of a YouTube ad, and then I talk about, okay, here's how 3D YouTube ads targeting works, which we'll talk about later, people really receive value. And so then if I say at the end with my call to action, I've given them a couple golden nuggets, I say, hey, I'm going to give you a whole nother handful of golden nuggets of value on my webinar, they're going to believe me because I've already delivered. And so then they get on the webinar, then they have another handful. And then on there, we talk about how they can have a free strategy session. They get on with our advising team and they map everything out. And then they get, a couple more handfuls, and it's catered to them. And then of course, from there, we say, okay, here's the program you can invest in. And, that's where you can get the pot of gold, all of the value. And I think that a lot of people look at, an ascension funnel just in monetary terms. And we actually don't run that. We don't run like a, front end, smaller product, bigger product, et cetera. We actually do more of a value ascension. So we give you value starting at your ad, then we give you a lot more value on the webinar. And then from there, you have a call that's tailored to you. You get even more value. And then of course you can decide if you want to enroll in a program. And we have our clients do the exact same thing. Now, this doesn't just apply to coaches, consultants, course creators. We also have people selling e-commerce. We have, incredible guy, Dennis, who sells ocarinas, and he's getting, 4 or 5x ROAS just selling his incredible ocarinas. Some of them are, from like Legend of Zelda, like ocarinas too. It's kind of funny. But we have clients who do all kinds of different things, but the principle is the same. If you capture somebody's attention, you educate, you tell them why these ocarinas are going to be the best ones, and actually his why is sharing music, with the whole world. And so you start to hear about his story and you start to learn about that. And then you have the call to action to go to the website and find your own. And some of them, might be based off of video games you've loved in the past, things like that. It's going to get people to take action versus just a static image on Facebook or, I hate it when people, and I know I kind of said this in the term earlier, but I don't like to refer to it as just traffic, right? These are people, and you want to provide value to them so that they're interested in taking action. So the third component is the call to action. This is the simplest, right? This is kind of hard to get wrong. It's just making it very simple. What's the next step? Registering for the webinar, signing up for an email list, or it might be purchasing a product or a course, whatever that next step is. And that's basically it. The hook, educate, call to action, focusing on actually providing value on your ad, and then increasing that value each step of your funnel. And that's going to pay off big time for your campaigns.
Fantastic. Well, that was a lot to take in, but that gives us things to unpack and further talk about. And I think from a lot of what you've been discussing here is it seems like there's a need to actually think things through, right? It's really easy to just say, oh, I'll do a YouTube ad. I'll just like record something real quick and then wonder why it didn't work. And it's kind of like when you mentioned there about with like the ascension in the funnel. I mean, you kind of hit a nerve there because I hate that when people say things like, well, sell something for $7 and $17. And I'm thinking like, well, if you were like a car dealership, would you sell someone on like a keychain and then a steering wheel and then some tires? Like, no, you'd be working more on the person, kind of like you said there. Instead of just thinking of traffic, you think of, well, someone out there has a problem. They have some kind of certain like ad targeting criteria. They see a little bit of that YouTube ad, and maybe you throw in the repelling and the like the jargon or like this beats that or whatever your kind of starting point template is to see if they make that little micro commitment to keep watching the video, and then if they get that aha, they're on a couple of those golden nuggets, as you say, then the next step is to maybe not sell them all right away, but try to sell them on perhaps a live webinar. And because you put a couple of those memorable things of value in there, it just won't, they'll ideally show up and they won't just register and never show up. Then on the webinar, then you have your offer, but in your scenario there, you then sell them on some kind of a personalized coaching call. And then when they're on that, then you sell them on some kind of a package. And it's just like the common thread I'm getting from you here is that things are more thought through instead of just like thinking of like the numbers game, which, I'm sure it is important as far as like looking at what's my ad spend and like making some campaigns and how's it converting, but also just thinking things through. And so when you're explaining that, actually there's two quick things. One is, so when you're talking about kind of like alienating people a little bit or repelling who you don't want, or having like the kind of like the Tai Lopez kind of like 5-minute ad where you kind of say, I'll promise you, I'll tell you these 3 things, and you kind of go for many minutes. How do you avoid having this kind of like non-responsive ad? Or is that like a trial and error process? Like, how do you kind of get that commitment and the repelling without just having zero response all over the place?
That's a great question. And it has to be done the right way. And that's where I think it's really important that you have the right market research and you really know who your customer avatar is. And you probably know this really well, and I'm sure a lot of the listeners do as well, is it's so important to know who is actually on the other side of the computer. It's too easy to get caught up in the numbers and be like, why are these numbers not working? But there's something that, it's like what you alluded to earlier, there's something that makes the numbers work or not work, and it's the people, right? And so if somebody's seeing that ad, one of the exercises that we do, and we have our clients do this, within our client group, and sometimes they'll even share it on their own walls as well, is when they come up with their video, and we also have copywriters on our team that actually helps them craft exactly what to say and do. And so that's one of the things, we eliminate the guesswork because we know, what works in each industry. But once we've crafted that, we'll get that video, we'll put it in our client group, and we'll actually all give feedback on how that video, really dives in. And then even better, if they're able to send that video to some of their top clients, or if they're able to post that video on, their Facebook page or somewhere that people, their ideal avatar, is going to see it and see if that video is actually what's going to work organically. And then you would go and run that. That's not to say that we don't, you want to test different things. And so one of the other things that we do too, when you're running your campaigns right off the bat, is you're going to want to test 4 or 5 different hooks. So like I said earlier, we have 2 main hooks, and we've kind of whittled it down to, these are the hooks that work the best, which for us, which is the hijack, your competitor's traffic, sending your own funnel, using YouTube ads. And then the other one, the strong kind of us versus them, like YouTube ads beat Facebook ads every time. We'll show you why. But what you don't see behind the scenes is we've run dozens and dozens of different, and actually, even more than that over the years, right? But, dozens and dozens of different hooks, and slightly different. The education is usually pretty similar, but different hooks at the beginning of the ad, and we're seeing what works and doesn't work. And that's one of the secrets that we have our clients do too, is we have them write 5, when we do this with our copywriters too, we write 5 different hooks, and then we have the same, educate call to action. Because usually the value you're going to provide can be distilled into a few different points, and then the call to actions, whatever that step is. But the hook, that's really what you need to test, because some hooks might work really well, but some hooks might also, like you said, some hooks really might fall on their face. They might not work as well. And so I think it's important to, there's 2 big ways that you can do this, or 3. One is you work with somebody that's, proven, and that's obviously what we do and we help our clients with. But the second is you make sure that you have some feedback from your, your target avatar. And if there's a way that you can get the video in front of them before you run it as an ad, that's always valuable. And then the third is just testing multiple hooks. That way, we talk about this advertiser's mindset. You test multiple things, you're going to learn what doesn't work, and you can trim that, versus what does work, and you can scale that.
Super cool. And yeah, so much to think about. So you're saying to try out these 4 or 5 different hooks. And, as you're mentioning that about that feedback loop, so to speak, of, thinking about the real people and figuring out what they want. It seems like this took me years to get through my skull. Is like, it's really easy to be like product focused and just say like, you need this. But then there's also the other side of the coin of like, where are they stuck? Where's the emotion and the pain, which like seems like basic copywriting, but for some of us, it takes years to kind of get that really ingrained and be like, okay, I need to really like ask some questions and figure out where they're at and figure out where they're stuck and what they need and all that fun stuff. And so I want to make sure that we get to these 3 Ds that are right there behind you, because as we said, that's where I noticed you. And when we got on the call before we recorded, I'm like, hey, I think I knew you from somewhere. So 2 things about that. One is like, how important is like the visual, like the diagram? Is that a thing to test, or do you prefer the diagram or the drawing, or is it better just to be like just live action and talk? And then also the meat of this whole thing, what the heck are these 3Ds?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So I think the big thing with that is you can test different versions of your hook. So like, I love live action with something that you can show on, that's there with you. And so in the ad you're probably referring to, actually, I had 2 things in the background. It is both this whiteboard that has our 3D YouTube ads targeting. And it's actually, we'll talk about this in a second, it's actually 3 dimensions. So it's not 3 different Ds necessarily, although I should figure out a way that I can make that work so it works both ways. But it's kind of like a Venn diagram. So it's like a 3-dimensional approach. And then I also have in the background a TV as well that basically has on it, there's 2 different versions depending on which one you saw. YouTube ads to get leads and sales webinar. Then we also have another webinar that's specifically catered to coaches, consultants, course creators, and that's for YouTube ads to build an infinite pipeline of clients. And so it just depends. Obviously, we're talking to people differently if they're looking to get sales for something like an ocarina or dog harnesses or different e-commerce products versus somebody who is looking to get a pipeline of clients, kind of phone calls, things like that. And so I'll have those in the background and I'll be using those as props, but I still have my face and I can connect with people. Big mistake is if you just share it like your screen, or you just have a picture of something like that, you're talking over it. People need to connect with your face, because then they see you, they hear you, they're interacting with you. It's like you're right there with them. And there's just so much value in that. I tell people, obviously YouTube is what am known for, and that's what I've built up here. My biggest, thing that I believe is the absolute best form of marketing is just video marketing. YouTube happens to be the best platform you can do that right now. There's a lot of reasons for that. Facebook, video, the audio doesn't autoplay. We'll talk about the targeting. People are just kind of scrolling by versus YouTube. People are actually watching specific videos. We'll get to that targeting. But really, video marketing and actually connecting face to face with ideal prospects is the best way. And so you asked, anything else you want to dive into that? And then I'm happy to talk about the 3 dimensions.
No, I mean, nothing for me. Just take it away.
Awesome. I love it. So with the 3 dimensions of YouTube ads targeting, this is one of the biggest things that I realized. I looked, and most people on any platform are only running their ads in 2 dimensions. So think about Facebook. They're running in 2 dimensions. They're taking demographics, which is loosely who that person is, where they live, age. And you can't even do household income. We'll talk about Google's really good with YouTube. So Google owns YouTube. They're really good with household income and in the United States. Facebook used to have that, but they got rid of it. So now it's all just zip code. And so that's another thing. But let's say you take demographics and then you pair that with interests, likes, what people have liked on Facebook. You can do lookalike lists. But the problem is there's no timing. There's no intent. So when do you reach somebody? Well, Facebook has to make that up in the algorithm. It has to decide when to show that ad in front of somebody. And that's where you get that roller coaster effect on Facebook, where some days your ads are doing great, some days they're not. You're beholden to the algorithm. Versus on YouTube, the power of YouTube is that you actually have the ability to run ads in front of specific videos, keywords, and actually get your ad in front of other videos on YouTube. Now, the problem is, though, some people oftentimes will run their ads in 2 dimensions on YouTube. And this is where you talked about sometimes people try YouTube and it doesn't work for them. Well, there's 2 main things that people do on YouTube in 2 dimensions. Is one way, they go in and they take placements. So they only get specific videos, and there's tools that do this. You kind of spit out like 100 different videos to run your ad in front of. Now, that's great low-hanging fruit. Don't get me wrong. It works for low-hanging fruit, but the problem is it's not scalable. So then people, go on YouTube and they say, well, YouTube's not that scalable. I ran my ad in front of these, because the problem is there's only so much traction you can get running in front of 100 or even 1,000 videos for that matter. And you have to constantly find new videos, cycle it out. And that's kind of what the people who sell these platforms aren't telling you, is that you have to constantly find these new videos. But then people go to the other side, but the conversions are good, but it's just not scalable. Then people go to the other side and they start doing just keywords on their own, like big, broad keywords, or just audiences on their own, because there are audiences in YouTube. And then they have the opposite problem. They're super scalable, but the results just aren't there because, again, they're relying on an algorithm, right? They're just relying on, just happening to, reach the right person. So maybe they have the right keyword, but it's not necessarily the right person. So what we have done is we've created 3D YouTube ads targeting, 3 dimensions, where we take the demographics, right? Let's say top 30% of income earners. We do that for all our high ticket people. E-com, that doesn't matter as much. You can just do, you don't really need to change the demographics as much, but you take the demographic side of things, you layer that with the videos that they're watching in more broader sense. So keywords, right? So you have a collection of different keywords that people are looking up, topics, kind of these broader collections of videos, channel placements. And then you layer that with audiences. On YouTube, you could create custom affinity audiences where you put in keywords, and people don't know this, but you could put in those same interest audience. You could put in, ClickFunnels, Russell Brunson, Gary Vee, Frank Kern, all these different targetings that you can do. Obviously, the equivalents of that on whatever you happen to be, e-commerce or whatever. You're running all of these different affinities. And then you could do custom intent based on what people have searched in the past on Google. URL affinities, websites that they've been on in the past or similar sites. You're taking these audiences, you're layering it with what they're watching right now. So who this person is, what they're watching right now, and can they afford your services if that's relevant to you, or where they're located, whatever, the demographics that you need. And then right in the center of that Venn diagram that we talk about, the demographics, the video, which is in the intent, and the audiences, right in the center are your ideal clients, your ideal, people who are coming into your business. And that is our 3D, three-dimensional YouTube ads targeting.
Super cool. And that makes a lot of sense. And I think that this has been the problem with paid ads since the beginning of time, right? The fire hose or the trickle. Do I get things super duper targeted and then there's no ads, or do I make it super broad? And there sure as heck is traffic. There sure as heck are people watching what I'm doing, but then is it converting? Is it very targeted? No. So this is really cool. And so if I'm understanding you right with this, the whole thing with the affinity ads, it's like, it's using Google's like artificial intelligence at this point, right? It's like looking at, you said, like the other videos they watch, search history, things like that. And so if I'm understanding you right, we're layering the demographics. So you target like income earners or who they are with this kind of artificial intelligence layer, with then also targeting like specific keywords or specific placements. Is that right?
Exactly. And when you get all three of these are how you can create scalable, predictable, high converting campaigns on YouTube. And that is legitimately the secret sauce. That's why, we have the results that we do with our clients, and why we've been able to scale, but we've been able to scale our clients as well. So, as an example, we had just, one client that had tried everything on Facebook. He had tried all kinds of different, ads. And it came to the point, right, where he had invested, over $30,000 on different agencies, different things, couldn't get any real paid traffic to work. Wasn't getting clients from paid traffic. He was just getting a few organic clients. He was actually deciding, this was back in January, February, he was actually deciding if he should go back and get a 9-to-5, right, and stop his business. And we got him, and this is, Jonathan, we did a testimonial with him, and he kind of outlined all of this. We got him with YouTube ads, and within the first 5 weeks, he had already gotten $10,000 from his ads. Then he scaled to 30 to 40,000. Then he was, and by the way, he helps recruiters. So he helps people who are independent, kind of like, staffing people become recruiters, become headhunters, basically how to build a career out of being a recruiter. And that's what he had done. And now he wants to help other people do that. And so essentially he got to 30 to 40,000. And then within just 4 to 5 months, he then had his first $30,000 week and $100,000 month. And he went from that scale, from possibly, quitting and doing a 9-to-5, which obviously he didn't do, and he's a super committed person, but that's, the situation he was in, to actually having over 6 figures a month, all scaled from YouTube ads, where his ads are making 8 to 10x ROAS. And so that's the level of, scalability. If you get a campaign that can scale, but also continues to convert at a high level, that's what you want to run.
Super cool. And I want to make sure that we, when we wrap things up here, we tell people where they can find out about this coaching. And I think you mentioned there's like a Facebook group kind of community kind of thing in there.
Yes.
And so like this has been a really great conversation, because what I'm hearing from you is you're really good at like the sound bites, right? You're really good at like compressing things into, I keep thinking like, oh, I'm going to clip out this little piece and put that on YouTube, and that little piece. You're really good about kind of knowing in your head, like what's the urgent problem we're talking about right this moment, what's the question, what's the answer, and then you're good about like packing in the knowledge, but also layering in like the kind of the emotional or like the proof elements. I feel like this, I even need to play this interview back maybe 2 or 3 times to kind of get it all into my head. And I think that what's really important is that, a lot of people forget, and we both know this, but it's easy to forget that people have to come from somewhere, right? Like your buyers and your prospects and your webinar attendees and things like that. And it's really tempting to just make a website, make an ebook, or make a course, and then say, well, where are the people at? Or I'm maybe marketing to the same tiny list and it's slowly going stale. I mean, people need to come from somewhere. And like you made that argument a few minutes ago, Facebook does have the traffic, but they're people, scrolling. They have to stop and watch a video. Why not go for the path of least resistance? If people are already watching videos, or if they're looking through YouTube for a specific solution to their problem, why not put a video of you in front of them? And then why not get that micro commitment and lead them to other things? I mean, this makes perfect sense. And so you say that you have this company, AdOutreach, and you help all kinds of people like this recruiter and many others in many different industries, e-commerce, coaching, to expand their business, to get that funnel built up, to avoid the dreaded worst case scenario of going back to the 9 to 5. So what the heck do you have for us? How do people watching and listening take the next step here today?
Absolutely. So I actually put together a page for everybody who's listening, watching this right now. It's our gift page. It's AdOutreach. That's AdOutreach. So adoutreach.com/gift. And if you go there, you'll see a little video of me just kind of thanking you for obviously listening to podcasts, how much I love these. But then underneath that, we have links to a variety of different resources. So we have a link to our YouTube ads webinar for leads and sales. It's kind of our general YouTube ads webinar. We also have one specifically for coaches, consultants, course creators, how to build an infinite pipeline of phone call leads. So if that's relevant to you, coach, consultant, that kind of thing, that's going to be valuable for you as well. And then of course we have a link to our Facebook group, which is YouTube Ads for Entrepreneurs. We have over 11,000 people now and growing very quickly in the Facebook group, and we're constantly providing real value, different types of trainings and different things like that. And so there'll be a link to join the community there as well. So it's adoutreach.com/gift. There's also a link to book a call with us. You can go direct adoutreach.com/apply. If you've heard enough and you want to hop with our team and see if YouTube ads are a good fit for you guys.
Fantastic. Well, this is all very thorough, and I don't know about anyone else watching or listening at this point, but I'm excited to crank out some YouTube videos and try some ads out. And I'm going to send this video to my business partner because he kind of does the traffic side of things on the business, and I'm gonna see if we can convince him to joining your course and maybe applying for your coaching to use Facebook ads for our business. The place to go is adoutreach.com/gift to check out that webinar, to check out that Facebook group, and then adoutreach.com/apply. If you'd rather just jump to the end and get that call built out and booked out, so adoutreach.com/gift. And anything to wrap up, any final parting words, or maybe even like a number one mistake you'd wish you'd known in the years past, anything like that to kind of put a cap on this conversation here?
Yeah, absolutely. So the last thing that I would say, and honestly, I think this is something I want to share. So it's not necessarily the mistake side, but it's something that I want to share to everybody who's listening. Right now, we are in the golden era of YouTube ads. And sometimes it's hard when you're inside of that to see that that's what's going on. Everything's in hindsight. They say hindsight's 20/20. But think about this. There's a lot of people right now that are saying they wish they got into Google 8 years ago, 10 years ago. They wish they got into Facebook in its heyday, 4 or 5 years ago, even 3 years ago, right? But now all those ad platforms, the costs are rising. There's so much competition. Not only do I know and believe that YouTube, if it was in the same competition, would greatly and does greatly outperform Facebook and the other platforms just because it's a better platform. It has the video component. You only pay if somebody watches 30 seconds. You actually can have that educate, call to action, the video, the face-to-face connection, providing value. That works better, even if it was an even playing field. It's not an even playing field because there's not as many people advertising on YouTube. So not only is it a better platform, it's also a platform that's more of a blue ocean. And so that powerful combination, I believe it'll always remain a more powerful platform, but it won't always be the less competitive platform, right? There's more people being added consistently. And so the best time to plant a tree and get started, especially with something big like YouTube, will be to start now.
Fantastic. And the place to start now is adoutreach.com/gift. And we will see you there. And thanks, Aleric, for stopping by and for just jam packing. I feel like we just did like a 3-hour webinar in this tiny conversation. There's so much to unpack, think about, take action on. And the place, everyone right now, whatever you're doing, pull over the car if you have to, go to adoutreach.com/gift, and we will see you there.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.